Hey guys, welcome back to the RedBeard Outdoors podcast. I'm Jonathan, your host, and today we've got an awesome guest as part of the series of why First Phorm and First Phorm Outdoors, why you should join the community, why you should be a part of it from Collin's perspective. We've got Collin Schmidt here. He is a civil engineer. He absolutely crushes it with what he does with his workouts. He's on day 74 of 75 hard. So we're not going to celebrate quite yet because there's always something that can happen. From as simple as, not taking that progress picture to missing an ounce of water or something like that. So we'll celebrate in 2 days once you've completed it. But with that being said, guys, Collin he reached out and wanted to be a part of this because he wanted to share his story. And that's the whole reason I started this series, guys, is for you to understand from other people's perspectives, literally across the nation, different people that enjoy, whether it be motocross to hunting to fishing and everything in between, even just getting out and enjoying pounding the pavement, which I don't understand. But if you're a marathon runner, you just want to soak up the rays while you're out suffering for those 26.2 miles, that's your thing, cool. But I want people to understand that there is not just my personal reasons why First Phorm, but everyone's got a different reason, and they're all great reasons. So with that being said, Collin, who are you for people that don't know who you are?
Yeah, so my name's Collin Schmidt, and like Jonathan said, I'm a civil engineer. So went to put myself through college, and always told myself, "Oh, I'm going to be an engineer or an architect or something." Always loved building with Legos and stuff like that, kind of using creativity, coming up with cool designs and whatnot. So went to K-State to be a civil engineer and graduated May of 2020, and from then, kind of that's honestly where a lot of my journey with First Phorm started, and kind of grew up. I guess we didn't really do the whole hunting thing. I mean, that was something we just didn't do. I mean, we'd go out to the farm and shoot jackrabbits, I guess, every now and then. Me and some of the cousins would go out and do that, but it wasn't anything crazy. And we were big into the off-road side of things. So then I guess kind of how that got into it is, I guess so graduated 2020, and quickly after that started listening to Andy Frisella and his podcasts. And actually what I ended up finding is that he was the owner of Supplement Superstore. And then that's how I found First Phorm, and on and on. But loved the podcast, listened to that. And then again, as he started, I mean, at that time I was already going to Supplement Superstores and loving everything about that. I was a GNC customer, but I got so tired of getting products shoved down my throat as soon as I would walk in. And I was telling my wife the other day, because she's like, "Why, you need to make sure you know why you like this company." I'm like, Supplement Superstore for me got me into it because of the customer service. And it's so apparent. I didn't know Frisella owned that until, I don't even know, several months after I'd been a customer there. And I was like, it all makes sense. Like, I walked in there the first day, and I don't even think I walked out with anything. I walked out with a water bottle. That's what it was. I walked in, someone gave me a water bottle, and the conversation started there. And he gave me a little bit of I think it was Formula One. I think it was just very generic, just like a vanilla. And he's like, "Go try this in your workout later today. Come back tomorrow. Let me know how it went." And that it just snowballed from there. So yeah, civil engineer, but finally got into hunting a little bit. I think 2022 was my first year, got into waterfowl hunting. I had a hand-me-down 12 gauge shotgun from my grandpa, and I was like, okay, well, what can I do with that? Waterfowl was the first choice, obviously, and had a buddy get me into that, and just trying to do low cost, get into it a little bit. And that fall was actually when I discovered First Phorm Outdoors. So I was I think I literally saw it on my Instagram Explore page. I was scrolling, and I think one day, I literally think it was a picture. I was thinking about it earlier today. It was a picture of Kaylee's pickup, and I want to say there was an orange Sunrise can sitting on the tire. And I was like, huh, I've seen those around. That's kind of cool. And then a couple of weeks went by, and then I saw, I think it was a Can-Am UTV that they posted. And I was like, what is this page? There's hunting, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So I shot him a message. And this is when, like, after I sent that first message, that's when I was like, okay, there's something legit going on here, because Jake actually sent me a message, and it was a video message. And I've never received a video message before. I didn't know that was a thing. And when he did that, I was like, and it was like, I want to say it was a 5-minute message that he sent me. And I was like, this guy's serious. Like, this is this isn't just a social media company that came out of nowhere. They got something going on here. So listened to that message, and we went back and forth a little bit, and ended up doing a phone call with him. It was like middle of November, which was obviously when they were doing the knockdown challenge. So I kind of started seeing some of that, and I was like, man, this is pretty sweet, this knockdown challenge. I've never seen people integrate fitness into hunting or fishing, whatever it is. And got hooked just watching it and seeing everyone's journey. And then the challenge or the games in 23 or 20, whatever that would have been, the following spring, the first outdoor games. And at that point I was like, okay, this isn't just about off-road for me now. They're getting me involved into hunting and the archery side of things. Cause I wanted to, after my first year of waterfowl hunting, I wanted to get into deer hunting. That was just in Kansas. That's kind of what you do. It seems like that's the big waterfowl and deer is a big thing in Kansas. And my buddy was like, well, we can get you a cheap rifle and get you out the door and get running. I wanted to do archery, but I was like, man, it's just expensive to get out there and the learning curve. And I would feel more ethical with a rifle. Just, I feel like it'd be a little bit easier. And he was like, well, I've got this 10-year-old Hoyt. I don't even know what the whole name of it is. He's like, I'll sell it to you for $250. How's that sound? And I was like, okay. So all of last year, I was just getting reps in however I could. And then obviously November knockdown challenge came and did that. And just, I was hooked and ended up doing my first deer hunt later that year. And it was just, it was insane. But through that whole process, just being involved in the First Form Outdoors community and seeing everyone's different perspectives and being a first time archery and deer hunter, I was worried. Like, you see so many things on Facebook of like, I'm on all these Kansas hunting pages, and someone asks a question, like a newcomer, and they're like, hey, just getting into the sport, like any advice on this area or this area. And you just get hammered with people like, I'm not telling you anything. You got to go out there, put in the work, which I get. Like, you need to do the work yourself. But the way they go about it is just instantly pushing people away from it.
Yeah.
And there's not a single bit of that in First Form Outdoors. I was putting comments out there. I was posting pictures. I think the first time I shot my bow, my grip was so wrong. And I smacked my forearm, like from my elbow to my wrist. It was just strawberry. Like, it was so bad. And I dropped a comment in there, and I was getting people sending me videos and tips and tricks. And I was like, this is so freaking cool. And just kept getting more and more involved with it. And I guess kind of how it started is I think that phone call with Jake, we didn't even talk about the hunting side of things, because there was something that's so small in my life at that point that I was getting into. But my whole perspective, and this is kind of, you hit on this a lot on here, and honestly, Jake and everyone talks about it a lot, is this community isn't just for hunters, fishers, hikers, whatever it is. I mean, that's like predominantly what you see in it, but that's not to say that something else can't grow within it. And that's why I reached out to Jake in that first place, because I saw that off-road aspect, and I was like, since I could pretty much walk, I think I was on an ATV and just progressed from there. So I was like, okay, let's see if we can really step up this off-road side of things. And that's where the conversation went with him, and he helped me a lot, just trying to direct like what I need to be doing to make sure that I'm aligning with First Form, but also implementing some of those core values in the off-road side of things. And kind of my point with it is the fitness side of it. I think motocross and ATV racers and stuff like that, there's a physicality aspect of it, but to go hop in a UTV or a Gator or whatever you want to call it, you don't have to be physically fit. I mean, the idea that so many people think off-roading is, okay, I'm going to load up my cooler with a bunch of beer and go out and hit the trails and hang out, which, don't get me wrong, I like an occasional trail soda, but it's to the point now where it's people doing stuff for kind of to go viral on social media. And I could go scroll on my feed and probably find 5 posts of people that they roll their razor or whatever, and the beer cans are flying out the back, the cooler's going flying. And I'm like, cool, you're tearing stuff up, but at what cost? And what, they're not going and picking up those cans. And so that was kind of a big thing that I kind of started doing. And a lot of that I attribute a lot of that to First Form, kind of instilling that mentality of leaving it better than you found it. And through that, I actually got a sponsorship on my YouTube channel. So I kind of do a lot of my off-road stuff on there. And a company reached out. They actually they make these bags that are made to go on like the bumper of your UTV.
Mm-hmm.
And usually you can put like a cool logo on them. There's all kinds of different things on there, but they sponsored me and they sent me a couple of those. And from then on, I just really made it a point to go out and clean stuff up. And
Yep.
I kind of challenged myself to see if I can fill that thing up on the weekends, and it's not very hard to do. And I was like, this needs to change. Like, this is kind of ridiculous. It's kind of doing that aspect of it and the fitness side of it, which now that I'm racing, it's going to be a lot more applicable. But I really wanted to hit on the fitness side of it, because no matter what you're doing in off-road or just the outdoors in general, a fit, healthy body is going to be better. Like, if you're 500 pounds drinking beer and then you roll your razor, I can tell you're not going to feel very good that next day.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. And if you're racing, same thing. Like, if being overweight, you have so much extra mass weighing down on you. And one thing people don't understand is on some of these jumps, the G forces that even like at the bottom of a jump, but then if you land and your suspension isn't set up right, because you can't really support yourself because you're sitting in a seat strapped in. So all that weight can come down and actually compress your spine. And that's one thing I talked to Jake about is I want to figure out, and maybe it's a workout routine or whatever it is, just normal training. I want to make sure my back is strong, my core is strong, my neck is strong. All these different aspects are at least stronger than if I didn't do anything. And I think that's going to help me not only just on the track, but help prevent injury and then help with recovery as well. Because that's one thing a lot of people, they complain, not even complain about, but they talk about like, man, I'm sore for a week after the track. And it's like, well, all you're doing is sitting in a car and steering. And there's a lot more, all the forces on you, it still weighs, it still impacts you. And so I really want to hit on the fitness side of it with the racing. And that's like you said earlier, is I just finished kind of my razor, and we're heading out to the track tomorrow for my first round, and going to finally be able to put a lot of this to the test. And 75 hard will be my day. 75 is tomorrow. So I'm going to try to get pretty much everything knocked out before we head out to the track, but going to be able to put a lot of that to the test and all the training that we've been doing and see how it goes.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, I'm going to break down a couple of those things because you definitely gave us a lot of information there. And I love hearing how you got into First Phorm and First Phorm Outdoors. So for people that don't know, just hitting on the supplement superstore side of things, that is I've never been into one personally, but from what I understand, it provides a bunch of different products, not just First Phorm products.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's similar, like if you've been into a GNC, it's similar to that, but better. To where there's a lot of different supplements, but you also get education. You get a nutrition plan as well, from what I understand. There's a lot of education that happens in these stores. And of course, First Phorm is sold in there as well. But Andy Frisella, that was their first, what they started. You know, when you hear Andy talk about his story and sleeping on a piss-stained mattress, that was Supplement Superstores that he was starting. And then evolution into First Phorm and making his own supplements. And that's where, First Phorm and First Phorm Outdoors came about. So, finding it through that path is pretty cool. Again, I didn't have that opportunity to get even to know it without social media. I probably wouldn't have never heard of a First Phorm. And so it's cool to hear that pathway. And then again, your story of you got the education. They weren't trying to shove stuff down your throat, which is just part of the culture of First Phorm and supplement superstores in general. And then, finding people, and that's why we started First Phorm Outdoors, was to meet people where they're at, because not every outdoorsman and woman wants to be jacked and ready to get on stage, right? Those are a lot of the people that walk into places like GNC and
Mm-hmm.
other supplement stores. But with First Phorm Outdoors, we wanted to meet the outdoorsmen where they are, whether it's on a bass fishing boat, whether it's in a UTV, whether it's in again, you're running, maybe you just enjoy trail running. You don't even compete. Maybe you just go out and do it for fun. You enjoy camping. But we want you to be able to experience more of whatever it is that you love, and by experience more, not just be able to go do more of it, but have a longer lifetime to be able to enjoy more of it with your family, with your loved ones, with your posterity, as you continue to get older, because time's not going to change. And so that's the main goal of First Form Outdoors. So you see a lot of, like, for me, hunting and getting outdoors with the kids. I do a lot of archery stuff because honestly, still trying to figure out the gun stuff on social media. But I love my guns. I love my archery. I love fishing whenever I can get out and do it. And you'll see that a lot from me. And that's kind of the popular thing right now is archery. But at the same time, we are all about including everyone that just enjoys getting outdoors, no matter what it is. And so I hit on that so much because I don't want people to forget that that's the main message, even though maybe for me, you see one or two particular things that I focus on. And then that's why I wanted to bring Collin on and other people that have been on as well, because they come in from a different perspective. I love the idea of being in shape so that you can drive your UTV a little bit better. You can enjoy it even more. Same thing with four-wheelers, same thing with dirt bikes. If you are a bigger person and you don't have the core strength that you need, or your neck isn't strong, or your joints aren't strong, you're just going to be beating the crap out of them. And then you won't be able to, you won't be able to enjoy it for as long as you want. And so, again, it's not to shame anyone, but it is to say you can live an even better experience going down to Moab, which is local here to me in Utah. People travel literally across the nation to go take their UTVs, their Jeeps. They'll haul them on a trailer just to get them out here so they can go and enjoy Moab. Well, there's so many things that can go wrong. And if your body is more capable of getting out of those circumstances, of being able to handle those situations, if you roll your vehicle or whatever it may be, you will have a better experience. So that's just the matter of fact. So
For sure.
with that, obviously being a civil engineer, you kind of have a not maybe a desk job. I don't know. My brother's a civil engineer in North Carolina, so I know all the training and everything, all the tests and everything you've had to go through. That takes a lot of work. And then, of course, you graduated in 2020, right when the lockdown started to happen. So I bet that was even more fun trying to find a job after you spent all this money and time in school. And then now you've shifted into this. So talk to us, I guess, with the UTVs, what are you doing with UTVs? Do you build them? Do you have a sponsorship? Do you buy a UTV and then kind of soup it up the way you want?
Yeah. So the way it kind of started, and it's kind of funny that you bring up Moab, that's partially the reason I got a UTV. So when I was in, I think it was my senior year, my parents were planning this trip to Moab. My dad has always wanted to go. He got a UTV before me. They kind of say that the saying is with age comes a cage. Well, I got a UTV a lot younger than a lot of people do, but
Yeah.
that's kind of the saying. And he got one and had one for about a year. And he's like, I want to go to Moab. So my parents were like, if you want to go, you can, but you probably need a UTV. So I graduated college, and that was kind of my first. I always say my first big boy purchase was my Razor, and I was building it out from the get go for trail riding and doing that kind of stuff. And we went out to Moab, and the cool part about that is that's actually where I proposed to my wife, out on the edge of this big old cliff. So it's kind of cool to see that that's actually local to you, and that's one of the places we've gone. But yeah, I kind of started it with the idea in mind to just trail ride with it, just kind of go out. We go a lot to Oklahoma. There's some sand dunes there. We've been to all over Colorado, and we haven't gone out east a whole lot yet, but we've done a lot of more west and Midwest kind of riding. And finally, just through all that, I kind of started my own YouTube channel. You were talking about sponsorships, and I've had a few things from YouTube actually carry over more to the Razor. The whole aspect of that is kind of just trying to give people my story of how I got into it, parts that I use, whether it's a good part, a bad part. I want to go through, experience that, and then let people know, hey, maybe you need to steer away from this. This is something that I spent too much money on, and it doesn't work for what I'm doing. Maybe it'll work for you, but this is kind of my experience with it. And that's kind of the take I'm going on with it. With the racing side of things, it was completely built different like 3 or 4 months ago than how it sits now. It was at 64 inches wide is kind of a standard for the UTVs, kind of skinny, good for trail riding, stuff like that. And set up tall, had bigger tires, kind of a lift on it and whatnot. So you crawl over rocks and all that. And for racing, or at least the racing that I'm doing, you want low to the ground, wide, and fast. That's kind of your basics. So literally everything that I had ever bought for that had to go, because you want to shave as much weight as possible. The suspension all is totally different. And through that process, I've gotten sponsors again from YouTube that they like, hey, I want you to do a video for this and show us how you put it on, kind of your pros and cons. And there's a lot of that kind of going on behind the scenes, but that's a cool part of it because it's just helping educate other people. Yeah, there's so many companies out there, but and this kind of ties into First Form a little bit, is I want to invest in companies that are going to invest back in me. And that could literally just mean customer service. That's customer service is a huge thing for me. There's companies that I turned down in the last few months because they approached me, they wanted something. And I was like, well, it's not I want something. What do you need? It's kind of a two-way street. And when I ask them, hey, this is some things I can do for you, they either not say anything or like there's ways that I could help them out and kind of better what they've got going on. And if their communication wasn't good, I was like, no, we're not going to do that. And that's something with First Form is it's very much kind of that two-way street. It's how can we help you? Like, yeah, you might be buying their product, but at the end of the day, they want to know how they can help you. And that's, I think I talked about it in my YouTube video when I released kind of the whole build and what I was going on with it is, although First Form isn't a direct sponsor, they are the big logo on the car. It's very obvious. And the reason that is, I view them as a sponsor because I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for that phone call I had with Jake. Yeah, I had the dream to go racing and I talked to Jake about that dream, but it wasn't until he really pushed me, he directed me. I had Dale Beatty as my advisor initially, and then it got switched to Kaylee with the whole First Form Outdoors within the app. And that whole, having that backbone, that community is what pushed me to get to this point. It might have happened 5 or 10 years down the road. I don't know. But I put a lot of kind of the reason I am where I am today, I put a lot of that in First Form. And that's not just the off-road side. That's also the hunting side of things. I wouldn't have probably got into archery hunting and definitely not fitness and archery with the knockdown challenge if it wasn't for First Form. And that's something I'm hoping I can do for the rest of my life. I've got goals to go out and get an elk and do all kinds of stuff like that. But that's just the beginning. But yeah, kind of back to your original question is what do I do with them? It's really just me building kind of my vision of what I want it to be and doing a lot of documentation on that, helping other people see what I'm doing. And through my testing and breaking stuff, whatever, just helping educate other people, kind of my experience with it. So maybe they can make a better decision on their purchases. But that's really about it. And just trying to communicate and build relationships with so many people in this sport, because my ultimate goal is to get it to be like on the level of NASCAR and Formula One, and motocross is obviously pretty big. But a lot of people, when they look at those sports, they see NASCAR drivers and all those different drivers as professional athletes. You look at Ryan Hardwick, the guy that races, I don't know if it's not really Formula One, but the cars kind of thing.
I think it's Enduro or something like that.
Yeah, you see the Porsche in headquarters. He's got the Mustang now. He is a professional athlete, and that's what it is. Some people say professional athletes in the UTV side of things, but I don't consider you might race in the pro class, but if you're not doing this racing for a full-time career, then I don't see that as a professional athlete. And that's what I want to get it to. And the athlete is a big part of it. And that's where I want to get First Form more involved into that side of things. But that's kind of the gist of it is, yeah, I mean, I build it and help people kind of see what it takes to build these things. And it's the way I see it is if you like off-road and you want to get into racing, I think UTVs is pretty much I don't want to say cheapest option. It's still pretty expensive. But when you look at things like BJ Baldwin's trophy truck and he's doing 150 across the desert, it's probably $1 million machine right there. And my race car as it sits is about maybe 50,000 by the time you buy the car and put all the parts on it. So it's easier if you want to get into the sport. And my goal is, again, to get it to that level so people can see that as a viable career. And I'd love to be able to do it full time one day. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep my little desk job, keep my little civil engineer, play with some dirt, and on the weekends I'll go play in the dirt. Is kind of the way I look at it. But
I love it.
so yeah,
I love it. No, that's awesome. And yeah, I mean that's a great way to go about doing it, and I would agree it's the cheaper option, but not cheap anyway.
yeah,
You know, and that's stuff that I've looked at too. Is I mean, I love the idea of jeeping, but I'm like, you know, most razors or side by sides, Can-Am, whatever, they do more than what a Jeep could do in a lot of situations, and they're not as expensive. So,
hmm,
you know, that's and they're dedicated to that rather than having a Jeep that, you know, I know so many people that they don't even have a road legal Jeep because they've done so much stuff to it. I'm like,
yeah.
well, just get a side by side then at that point.
I've gone
But
back and forth. I kind of like
yeah,
the idea, but and their whole thing is with a Jeep, you take it to the trailhead, and then that's what you drive home. You don't have to have a dedicated tow rig and a trailer. But to my point is, you break on the trail, what are you going to do?
yep,
And just like you said, the Razors and Can-Ams, all that, they're so much more capable. Not saying that you should go 30 miles an hour down a 15-mile-an-hour trail, but the suspension and how they ride, everything about it, they are just better in my opinion for that. I see both sides of it, but for sure the capability of it and where you can get in a day is the amount of ground you can cover is just it's insane, and places you can see. And there is a I want to let you get back to it, but real quick, there was a trail out in Colorado, and you could get the UTVs. It is a very tough trail, and on the Jeeps it was like an 8 to 10 hour day. On the UTVs, we were able to do it in about 3 or 4. At the end of the trail is a hike that we were able to then take up like another mile up this mountain and just see. It was about like a 13,000 foot mountain, and it was
wow,
just the views you could get to was insane. But if you're doing that in a Jeep, you're not getting to the end of that trail when it's still light out. I mean, I guess if you start at midnight, then you're there by noon or something like that. But then you got to go back home. You can just experience more quicker with the UTVs and get to those kind of harder to reach areas and see things that you might not be able to see in a Jeep or a built truck or something like that.
yep, no, definitely, that's for sure. So with that being said, and you know, for people that are you've described really well as to why you would incorporate fitness and health and nutrition into you know, the outdoors in the way you love enjoying it, which is more of the racing and the off-roading. Uh, give us your top three reasons why First Form and First Form Outdoors for you. Why have you chosen this community? Now you've hit on a couple of them, but I want to be very clear and specific for people. Your top three reasons why you've chosen this community over and this supplement company over any other supplement company or community or possible sponsorship that have reached out to you. Why First Form and First Form Outdoors?
I think the big one is, I think everyone always says this, it's community. Like you can't hit on that enough, that no matter where you are in life, what you do, what your passion is, the community here is so inviting.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's unmatched. You're not going to find it anywhere else. You're not going to be able to go into companies like Supplement Superstore and learn about the community and just see what they're actually doing and changing, and the with what they do locally in the communities. Like they do trail cleanups, they go on hikes together, they go to the gym together, they do all these things. That community, it's intoxicating. And like if you want to be better and you are in that community, you have every single tool and every person at your expense. Like you can go to anybody. You can go to Jake, you can go to Kaylee, you can literally anyone that works at First Form, you can message them and they are going to give you advice, like no matter what. Like that's the culture they've built, and it's just truly insane. You can't hit on the community enough. And also, I don't know if this one's been talked about, but just the story and how much it's so hard to hear the story and not want to get involved. I've heard a lot of it from Andy Frisella and through his podcast. I've gone back and listened to the MF project ones and started to kind of implement some of that stuff. But his story of where he started, where he is now, where he wants to go, and then seeing that trickle down effect in Supplement Superstore, within First Form, within First Form Outdoors, and just seeing everything with that. And then on the story aspect, when I went to headquarters, I think it was December when they did the open gym, I was kind of sticking around helping clean some stuff up. And then I was like, man, Kaylee was out of town. There was a couple other people that I really wanted to see that were out of town. And then Jake walked in the gym and I was like, yes, I haven't seen Jake all day. And now I might be able to go talk to him. And there was like a handful of us. There's like 3 or 4 of us. And Jake ended up doing like a tour around headquarters. And it was really personable because no one else was really there. And he was educating us on everything and talking about the story. We were seeing the timeline in the hallways. And you see a lot of the background and the story on social media, but when you actually hear it in person, you see it, you hear all this, leave it better than you found it. That's great. But then when you go into a place like headquarters and you see that they don't just say those things, they actually embody them. Go into the bathroom and it's spotless. And I was blown away when I went in there the first time. Just, it was insane. And it's all integrated into the story and the community.
Yep.
And probably I would say the third is the core values. And one thing with this is I think it was one of the MF projects that Andy Frisilla was talking about. And he talked about the core values, that all 10 of them talked about the little stainless steel card that the employees get. And then I saw those core values there at headquarters. And there's not a single day that if you're looking at this community, there's not a single day you couldn't pick out one of those core values out of something that someone's doing. And that, again, I think I've said it before, but that is so intoxicating, seeing people actually do what they say they're going to do and uphold those values. And what Andy was talking about is if you're in a community or a company or something and they're not embodying those core values, then what's the point of having them? He's like, if you can't hire and fire by your core values, then why do you have them? And that's something I've struggled with on the engineering side of things, is companies that have these core values, and maybe it's the way the corporate side of things works, but a lot of them seem to kind of slip through the cracks and not really hold a lot of value. And that might just be what it is. But then you see First Form and it's like, well, they're doing it. They're making it work. Mm-hmm. So I would say that's probably the 3, kind of the community, the background, and the story of it, and then the core values. And again, with the core values, part of it is I want to bring some of those into the off-road space, because there's no way that if you don't continue to lead by example, you build a big thing with me is building those relationships. Maybe you're not going to get to that huge level, but maybe you helping someone else, maybe their company explodes, and then that ends up turning up more opportunities for you. And that's a big thing I've been trying to work on. Is there's the guy that did a lot of the fab work for my razor. He's just a one-man shop. He doesn't do really anything on social media. He's not really technical on that side of things. And I'm helping him build his social media, promote his business. Nothing really in it for me, but I see it as an opportunity. If I can get him, what I told him is like, I want to get you to where you can explode, so you don't have an option to hire more people. Like, you have to do it to continue to grow. And I attribute that directly to the core values at First Form. And I think if we can implement a lot of that stuff, then it's going to be easy to grow the sport. But a lot of people don't think it's possible. But I know if we can get more people in this community, literally anything is possible. I guarantee you Jake wouldn't think where they're at now was going to happen in the short amount of time it's happened. I know there's a lot of legwork that he had to do to get to this point, but the growth just in this last year is insane. And it's just going to continue to get better, bigger, better. And it's insane.
Yep. No, I love it. Thank you for sharing those 3 things. Those are awesome, and definitely want people to go check them out. The core values they're huge as far as being a part of First Form and living up to the standard, and they are upheld. It's not just something that's talked about and a cool talking point on social media. And the community by far, the community and the customer support, like if you go in, and a lot of people don't have the opportunity to go to to First Form, order First Form, go into a physical facility, a brick and mortar shop, and buy First Form or try it out. I remind people there is a 110% money back guarantee, and we don't say that just to say it or a cool little catchphrase on the website. If you don't like something, even just liking the flavor, you can reach out to customer support. You will get an answer within 24 to 48 hours. Generally, it's shorter than 24 hours, my experience. And even on the weekends, which blows my mind. I don't know why they're doing that, but I'll get an email sometimes at 9 o'clock on a Sunday night. I'm like, what are you doing? Just email me tomorrow. But it's a real person. They want to take care of you. They want to make sure you've got what you need, because we know if you don't even just like the flavor of it, you're not going to try it, or you're not going to drink it. You're not going to use it. And we don't want you to just have a pantry princess, bottle sitting there. We want you to actually use the products and get the benefit from it. So with that being said, what is your favorite mixture of Formula One?
Oh
Your
man,
two favorite
I'm
flavors that you mix?
that's gonna be tough. I'm kind of lame on that side of things. I keep it pretty basic. I did a lot of I did
Are you a
some of the
vanilla guy?
other flavors. Do what?
Are you a vanilla guy?
So yes and no. I've got two different shakes that I do. I've got my morning one that's after my workout, and that one, my kind of go-to has been the natural strawberry, and then I put like 2 scoops of PB Fit, like the peanut butter powder.
Mm.
So strawberry peanut butter, and then I'll either do milk or water or whatever. And that, even just the strawberry by itself, like I've told so many people, do you like the little yellow Nesquik bottles of strawberry milk?
Mhm.
Well, if you put that protein powder in some milk, you get it 100%. It might even taste better. Like it's so freaking good. But then I'll put the PB Fit in there, and that's kind of my go-to in the morning. But I'll do the level 1 vanilla. I've done chocolate, just different. Some of them more basic ones because I like to put it in smoothies and just kind of get a high calorie, high protein smoothie in. But the mint, I think it was mint cookie, like the tastes like mint, thin mints, like Girl Scout cookies. That one is a pretty big go-to. But when I was at HQ, I finally got to try the peanut butter, like the loaded peanut butter or whatever it's called, and that's a contender. Like
Yep.
I got to go to Supplement Superstore today and get some stuff for the track, and I might be picking up the peanut butter because it's pretty fire.
Well, get rid of that PB Fit and do the peanut butter, the salted peanut butter Formula One, and so a scoop of that and a scoop of the strawberry.
Okay,
And it's I haven't been able to have a peanut butter and jelly in, I don't know, was it 4 years now since I've been basically diagnosed with celiac. So when I tried that after Jake said it, I was like, man, I don't know. Jake's got some weird combos. Like that doesn't sound good. Well, I tried it and it is delicious. It tastes
okay,
like a melted down peanut butter and jelly if you like the strawberry jelly. I mean, it was freaking delicious. So, PB Fit's great, but you're basically just getting the flavor out of that. Get some protein in there as well with that flavor. Oh man, it is so good. That
okay.
or if you like the peanut butter a lot, the chocolate with the peanut butter, you get Reese's cup.
Yeah, that'd be
It's
good.
so good. So good. And I mean, you get 2 scoops of that, you're getting 40 grams of protein, guys. So, and it mixes, I mix mine in 10 ounces of water for people that are out there listening. Like you can mix, people are blown away when we do events. Anytime I've been in an event that we're giving out samples, we'll take, 10 to 12 ounces in a bottle of just regular bottled water, a little plastic one that you can pick up in the cases. And we'll put the funnel in there. We'll put the ignition, a full scoop of ignition, and 2 scoops of Formula One, and we'll just shake it up. No shaker ball, no filter, anything like that. We just shake it in that little plastic bottle, and it mixes so smooth. To your point on that strawberry milk, like it blows my mind every time. It just and I still to this day, even though I've been drinking First Form supplements for going on 4 years now, I still sometimes I'm like, man, I'm gonna get a chunk. Like maybe I didn't put enough water. I'm gonna get something, and I don't. It just goes down smooth. So it's freaking awesome. So again, Collin, I appreciate you sharing that, and even though you're basic dude with your shakes, we got to get that changed up a little bit here. We got to change get some good mixtures in there. I've been asking people that because um who was it? Was it Lexi? Yeah, Lexi Johnson. She said magical charms and chocolate, I believe. Is it magical charms and chocolate? turns into s'mores or something like that.
Weird.
And I tried that one, and I was like, golly, like I would have never thought that, but that was good, so anyway, get out there, try some different flavors, guys. I'm going to be asking people going forward what their favorite mixture is, just because I want to hear if there's any funky ones out there, or we got the plain Jane like Collin's got over here. So with that being said, Collin, thanks so much for hopping on here. I really appreciate it. Guys, if you want to check out First Phorm Outdoors, be a part of the community. Even if you don't have a Facebook, honestly, this Facebook group is worth creating a Facebook profile just to get in the group. You're going to find people all across the nation. At this point, all across the globe, we've got some people that are international that are coming into this group. You're going to find people that you can go hiking with, camping with, you can go trail riding with, you can go hunting with, create a rucking group. All of those things are happening over there on the First Phorm Outdoors Facebook page. Definitely go check it out over there. And if you need any First Phorm supplements, you got any questions for us, you can reach out to Collin. I'm going to leave his links down below. You can also reach out to me. More than happy to make sure you're taken care of and answer your questions. And with that being said, thanks so much again, Collin. And of course, guys, like I always say, get out, live your life, and love it.